Greetings to all you humans. It's about time I began work on this video and started this series. And what better game to start off with than a game about something you do in the winter? After all, the season is getting a bit closer, despite the fact that the opposite is true if you live in the southern hemisphere. But shut the fuck up, Will, and get to the game. Moto Racing Freedom.
Now, I am someone who enjoys real-life snowmobiling. Sure, it's a pain in the ass to prepare for, but most of the time it pays off. So I'm looking forward to what this game has to offer. This product claims to have breathtaking stunts, 24 championships, 4-player co-op, 7 game modes, and the online interactions are not rated.
I'd say we got a decent product ahead of us. Why am I using the Joy-Cons? Get that shit out of here. I'm ready.
So we begin with this basic menu with a generic rock theme that gets repetitive pretty quickly. Sweden?
I ain't no Swedish human. Well, actually I am, but that's under 10%. We gotta change it to Canada.
Egypt and El Salvador? What are they doing here? They don't even get snow. Alright, enough customization. Let's get into some races.
What do you mean I can't play in the Rocky Mountains to begin? John Denver wrote an incredibly overplayed song about them. As if all his music is not overplayed. I personally prefer John Lennon.
Fine, I'll go to Scandinavia. Nobody lives there anyways. After more customization with the snowmobile and a long loading screen, we are finally in our first race.
Oh man, this game feels quite rough. I don't like the first-person view, which is why I ended up changing it to the much superior third-person view.
So far this game is nothing too special, and I've done a lot of bashing, probably too much, but it's honestly decently fun. The physics can be very rough and the frame rate can be a bitch at times, but I'm still having fun. I have somewhat of a soft spot for it. Also, I know this is supposed to be more realistic than something like Mario Kart, although I would not call it a true simulator, but I would have liked it if the stunts in this game actually benefited you in some way during the races. Oftentimes they just slow you down.
Long loading screens do not equal fun. I'm sure there are worse ones out there, but they still should be avoided.
Editor's note, everyone. I do still say this game is pretty rough, but when I was playing it, I did not read the text that said, "Full throttle makes staring harder." I wish I read that while I was playing the game, taking notes and recording. Don't underestimate the little points of advice in your games, kiddos. Back to the review.
Anyways, let's review some motherfucking modes.
First up is Sprint, which I think is good. You have a lot of open space to race, and there is often more than one way to finish these races because of the openness of the tracks. I do wish that the openness of the tracks offered more of a shortcut or something that could help you, however. I guess you could use them to your advantage if you're clever, and sometimes I did, but oftentimes I just stayed on the main way that everyone else was going. It also doesn't help that the lower and more choppy frame rate gets noticeably bad when I'm racing beside opponents or when I land from a high place. But speaking of heights, this mode is one of the best parts of the game. That is, jumping off of high areas to get a beautiful and breathtaking view. I really just like to do them because they're the most fun part of the mode. Make sure you use the turbo for better momentum. My favorite maps in this mode are the ones where you start uphill and go to lower elevations. Good mode, although the maps for all the modes in this game are mostly forgettable with only a few unique features. Like maybe some nice rocks or the fact that we're racing by a ski resort. Isn't that kind of a shady thing to do? Next up we got Snowcross, which is inferior to Sprint. The linear maps can be fun when you are in control, but I go too fast and lose control. This would not bother me if there weren't so many computer people so damn close to me. The frame rate in this game is usually at its worst when I hit something like the ground or a tree or when I'm beside the other racers. If you're going to play this mode, play it for the time trials. The lack of other players decreasing the frame rate is nice, and the linear tracks are much better designed for beating them as fast as possible. Also, I tried exploiting the tracks by taking shortcuts, but that was too taboo. Not great, but it can be fun, more so with the time trials. Next up is Freestyle, where you do stunts to get as many points as possible. Something that baffles me is why can't I play Freestyle competitively? I can't play against my ghost to test myself like in time trials. I can't even play it in co-op. It is a real shame because this mode is legitimately fun if you like the stunts in this game. This is the one part of the game that gives stunts a purpose. I would like a competitive or challenge mode where doing these 360s, backflips, and barrel rolls are rewarding. It would add more replay value. Speaking of that very concept, the lack of valuable replay value is one of the biggest weaknesses that Moto Racing Freedom possesses. I don't see why I should ever play this game again besides maybe the stunts in Freestyle or the huge jumps I decided to do in Sprint because I said fuck you winning. But overall, Freestyle is pretty fun if you want nothing more but to do a bunch of wonderful tricks, which there are a decent amount of by the way. And dare I say, this is the mode with what I believe are the most unique tracks in the whole game, surprisingly. I also was a tiny bit motivated to continue playing for the medals, but not that much. Last and least, we have Leisure. This mode is the definition of unreplayable, and I don't mean hardcore Minecraft. You just roam around some big empty area with no objective. You could do some stunts, but why would you do them here when Freestyle mode exists?
Fun mode of game filler.
Alright, on to the championships, also known as a list of Grand Prix of many different difficulties.
There are 3 modes in the championships. I did not bother with the one on the right because I was not willing to play that many championships. The championship mode is the only mode where you can unlock vehicles and get experience points to become able to get into harder Grand Prix. There is not much else to say, but completing these Grand Prix oftentimes does not feel satisfying. That's bad if rewards are supposed to be satisfying, which I would like them to be if I win. Moving on to the online mode. Moving on. The co-op was decently fun to play with my younger sister, but it's pretty basic. You have the choice between Sprint, Snowcross, and for some reason, Leisure instead of Freestyle. Why? Something Race with Freedom in the Snow also has is different weather and times of the day. The time of day doesn't affect the gameplay that much, except at night. The night is actually not as terrible as I thought it would be. Plus, it's cool to see checkpoints having lights in the dark. Most of them are fun, but fog can go fuck itself like the orange asshole who inspired the shooting in El Paso. Mother of God, why can't I see a damn thing? It is awfully not fun to ride in fog. However, all other weather types don't give me a problem.
And now it's time for the only reason people care about reviews. The rating part of the video.
First up is the graphics, because generally, they are the first thing you notice about a game. They are not that good. Textures are very bad, especially close up. I swear I can see the tries and polygons on the trees with my nude eyes. This would not bother me as much if the frame rate was fantastic, but that's only sometimes. I thought this game looked like it came from a previous generation, so I hooked up Monster Truck Mayhem to compare. Snowmoto looks better, but by how much? The only thing that prevents the graphics from being lower than a 4.5 out of 10 is that the snow can look decent at times and the jumps can look kind of beautiful. Then at other times the game looks like a snowy and slightly more realistic version of Gary's mod. Next up is the music/sound design. I might as well put them together because they're both noises that we will be judging the quality of. The music is pretty repetitive and forgettable. I especially got sick of the bland main menu theme. The sound design for the snowmobiles is pretty good, although hearing nothing but them can get tiring since they're the most overpowering sound in the game. Also, your avatar has a voice, but you can barely hear it anyways. Yeah is the only thing they say, so you're not missing out on much. But overall, the repetitive and generic music with the noise production is not necessarily something I want to listen to again. 4.5 out of 10. Framerate is what's next on our list, and when the game runs well, it runs well. When it does not, it is choppy, frustrating, and annoying. Framerate matters more than graphics because frame rates that are inconsistent make a game a lot more difficult to play, and not the good kind of difficulty like it should be. Another 4.5 out of 10. The controls are frustrating when you go too fast, and I actually like this. You generally do better when you are more relaxed and don't just rely on speed to win. It makes the controls more realistic and like genuine snowmobiling. And it sort of reminds me of how being a more relaxed driver is better when driving an automobile, in a weird way. The controls would be great if they weren't so rough. The physics are no less rough than the controls, which is not a great thing. Despite this, they are still decent enough to get a 6. The next part we have is the replay value, and it's incredibly lacking in Snowmoto the racing game. How I wish there was some sort of challenge mode or list of challenges that I could do to win achievements from. The only replay value in this game is unlocking new tracks, Grand Prix championships, and getting medals in time trials and freestyle. Unfortunately, this is not enough to keep me interested. Replay value is also affected by the quality of the gameplay. If the gameplay is bad, then the replay value suffers because why would anyone want to come back to a game they don't like? Snow racing the game is only decent. I did feel a bit motivated to get medals in freestyle and time trials, but usually only for bronze. Those high jumps are one of the few reasons why I might occasionally return to this game because high quality golly they are fun. But the stuff here is just not enough. Now it's time for the real big fish of the game. The gameplay. It's not the most complex or the most engaging, but it can be fun. I admired how it kind of controls like a snowmobile simulator, although it's most certainly not the most realistic one. The roughness of the game can make it harder to enjoy, but you can still do some interesting things. It's a shame that nobody plays this game online because now I can't get footage of the beautiful unrated races. Overall, the gameplay is a 5. Last and this time not least, we have enjoyability. Moto Racing Freedom has a lot of problems. Inconsistent frame rate, lack of replay value, generic and repetitive soundtrack, long loading screens. However, despite all of this, I still like the game. Sure, some of the flaws did at times make the game less fun, but the game was good. It was good, innocent fun. I would not say I had a blast, but do I always need one for a game to be a worthwhile experience? It's not one I would want to go back to immediately, but I might want to go back as some sign of respect, but mostly for the huge jumps that make you touch hands with God if he genuinely existed. I believe in Zeus more. In the end, I'll give my overall enjoyment a 6. But I feel to someone else, this game could be something kind of special. Although, I guess those feelings I have towards it are just mine.
Now I'm gonna give this and every other game I review 2 ratings. In terms of a more objective lens, I'd say a 5. I think a 4 is a bit harsh. And in terms of my personal experience, a 6, because I still have that soft spot for it. I did not want to be too hard on this game. This is because this is actually a gift from a longtime friend of mine. Shout out to you if you're that longtime friend who's watching, who I will not mention the name of for privacy reasons. Well, this has been the first episode of the 91 Will Game Review Show. Thank you to all you beautiful humans that have watched, especially the ones who watched till the end. You know who you are.